Hey everybody, and welcome to Bible class. Can you join me in the Gospel of Luke 24? We're taking our last steps in this study of people who crossed paths with Jesus. We started when Jesus was just a few weeks old. Simeon and Anna in the temple. We've talked about John the Baptist on the banks of the Jordan River. We went into Jesus's hometown synagogue of Capernaum. We listened in to a nighttime conversation with Nicodemus. We went into the house of a Pharisee named Simon and watched a woman of the city who was a sinner come in and greatly honor Jesus. We went into the house of two sisters, Martha and Mary. We stopped in the middle of the road as a rich young ruler asked Jesus a great question. We climbed up in a sycamore tree with Zacchaeus. We watched Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And in our last study, we watched as the Roman governor Pilate crossed paths with Jesus. If you're familiar with that story, of course, you know Jesus died on a Roman cross. But 3 days later, just as he promised, on the first day of the week, just like today, he came out of the grave. I want to pick up with you in our last scene, Luke chapter 24, along the road. We read about two men who are on this road, about 7 miles between Jerusalem and the village of Emmaus. They are traveling from Jerusalem toward Emmaus. Let's pick it up in verse 13. That very day, the day that Jesus rose from the dead, these men are on their way and they're talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself, think about this, Jesus died 3 days before this. Now he's alive. And suddenly he is walking with these men. Jesus himself. That is amazing. But verse 16, their eyes, the eyes of these two men were kept from recognizing him. And so he asks them, what is this conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk? Here they are standing still, looking sad. One of them was named Cleopas, and he answered this stranger, are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who doesn't know the things that have happened there in these days? Jesus asks, what things? And they said to him, concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, this is the third day since these things happened. Moreover, some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb, Jesus' tomb, early in the morning, and they didn't find his body. And when they didn't find his body, they came back saying that they had even seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the women had said, but Jesus they didn't see. And at this point, Jesus says to them, O foolish ones and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Wasn't it necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? And beginning with Moses And all the prophets he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself. So they drew near to the village to which they were going. He acted as if he was going farther, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at table with them, he took the bread and blessed and broke it and gave it to them, and their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us while he talked to us on the road, while he opened to us the scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and went back to Jerusalem, and they found the 11, the apostles, and those who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed and has appeared to Simon." Then they told all what had happened to them on the road and how he was known to them in the breaking of the bread. So many things we have learned this quarter as we watch Jesus, as we watch the ordinary people who cross paths with Jesus, and sought to apply those lessons to ourselves, because we want not only to cross paths with Jesus, we want to be changed by him and follow him for the rest of our life. So what can we learn from these two men who cross paths with Jesus quite literally on the road to Emmaus? Let's dig in together. Thanks so much for being in class today and all quarter long. Hope you have a great rest of your class and a great start to this new week.